All right, good morning everyone. It's Chris White here with my daughter Vivian. I'm on babysitting duty this morning. I just want to welcome you back into the extraordinary game of entrepreneurship and how to play it. This is preseason training day 4. Hey, I want to encourage you to stick around because I'm going to be talking to you today about a framework that's going to empower you to take consistent actions inside of your business. So stick around. We'll be back in exactly 20 seconds. Okay, welcome gamers to preseason training day number 4 inside of the extraordinary game of entrepreneurship and how to play it. My name is Chris White. I am the game master. And my role in the game today, it's mission critical. And that role is quite simply to disrupt your thinking in order to empower you to live outside of your phone booth. Why? So that you can share your extraordinary with the world. Now, you may be asking yourself, if you're here with us for the first time, what the heck does living outside your phone booth have to do with anything? Okay, well, just ask yourself the question, what would have happened had Superman never gotten out of the phone booth? Like, quite literally, what would have happened? Exactly, nothing would have happened, right? And that's why living outside of your phone booth every day is priority number 1. So if you're ready, then I'm ready. I think Vivian's ready. Game on. All right, my friends, today we're talking about what I'm calling the Game Changers Grid. Okay, so the big idea is this. It either controls you or you control it. So let me ask you this question. Are you living your life by design or are you living your life by default? Okay, so here's the big takeaway today. And I learned this from Jim Rohn, who said, if you don't design your own life plan, chances are you'll fall into someone else's plan. And guess what they have planned for you? Guess what they have planned for you, Vivian? Not much, right? So I'm asking you today to imagine for a moment that building your business is like building a skyscraper. Okay, so I want you to imagine the most beautiful, majestic skyscraper that you could imagine, and I want you to imagine that that represents your business. Okay, so what's the first thing you have to do when you build a skyscraper? Okay, the first thing is you have to set the grid, right? You have to set the grid. The first thing you do when you're constructing a skyscraper is you go out onto the ground, you set the grid, and then what do? Well, the second thing you do is you start digging down, right? You start digging into the ground, you get past the eye level of the surface of the ground, and you start digging this hole, and if you're standing far enough away from the hole, you can't see all of the hard work and the sacrifice and the sweat and the tears and the adversity that's happening inside the hole, in the ground where this skyscraper, where the foundation of the skyscraper is being built. Okay, now, what happens if you don't set the grid? What if you're like, you know what? Forget the grid. I don't care about the grid. If you don't set the grid, guess what? You never have a skyscraper. You never have a skyscraper. So what I want to introduce you to now, which is what we're going to use during the extraordinary game of entrepreneurship that we're playing over the next 16 weeks, I want to introduce you to what I'm calling the Game Changers Grid. Okay, so we use GRID as an acronym, all right? The G stands for goals in your playbook, right? The G stands for goals in your playbook. The R stands for routines. The I stands for your inner game, right? The mental game, the inner game, the emotional game. And the D stands for DNA. When we talk about DNA, we're talking about really understanding yourself, knowing your strengths, knowing your weaknesses, knowing what you're passionate about, understanding the vision that you have for your life, everything that really goes in to making you truly unique and truly extraordinary out in the marketplace. Okay, so what a grid's gonna do is a grid's gonna give your life and your business structure, right? Committing to a grid, what it's ultimately gonna do, what committing to a grid is ultimately gonna do, it's gonna restrict freedom of action. Right? Because you're going to have to make a commitment to a grid. It's going to restrict freedom of action, but the benefit is it's going to improve freedom of movement. Think about that. The grid is going to restrict freedom of action, but it's going to improve freedom of movement. Okay? A grid is like the lens you use to filter the world. Okay? Think of the grid, it's like the the fabric, right? The fabric of the grid is made up of what we're calling a time-bound system of execution. A time-bound system of execution. Now, why do we talk about systems so often? It's because we know wealth is created by systems, not by people. Okay, so I want to encourage you, don't bet on yourself, bet on your system. And when we're talking about our time-bound system of execution, what we're talking about is our 16-week season, right? We talked about this in preseason training day 3, which is we're talking about 2 weeks in the preseason, 4 weeks for the season, 8 weeks for the season, 4 weeks for the postseason, and then 2 weeks for the off season. That's our time-bound execution system, all right? Now, after you set the grid, you're then going to set the cornerstone, right? If you ever study building construction, you know that the first thing they always set in the grid is the cornerstone, because the entire building, the entire skyscraper in this case, is going to be aligned off of the cornerstone. And if the cornerstone is off, the entire building is going to be off, okay? So the cornerstone in our system, in our grid, is going to be your goals, okay? Everything you do over the course of our 16-week season together inside the extraordinary game of entrepreneurship is going to be aligned off of your goals, okay? Your routines are then going to help you achieve your goals. Your inner game is going to help you stay committed to your goals and to your routines. And then your DNA is going to help you stay in alignment with your true north, okay? What I like to call your epicenter of power, okay? Your epicenter of power. Now, one thing you should also understand is that the sum is exponentially greater than any one part. The sum of executing your goals, your routines, your inner game, your DNA effectively, the sum is exponentially greater than any one part. Hey, Vivian's saying hi today. The sum is exponentially greater than any one part, okay? The other thing I want you to understand about the Game Changers grid is that the Game Changers grid is fractal in nature, okay? So think about this like building a skyscraper one floor at a time, okay? From one season to the next season, you are building your skyscraper floor by floor, and when you have a grid in place, and when you're executing off of a time-bound system of execution, like the 16-week season that we're talking about, you know that your success is guaranteed because you're just building from one floor to the next, season by season. Okay, it's a very effective, high-performing way to go about executing inside of your business. Okay, now why do you need to hear this? Why is this idea of having a grid so valuable? It's because living by default, you know, you're either living by design or you're living by default. So living by default is going to put you at the mercy of external circumstances. Think about that. Living by default is going to put you at the mercy of external circumstances. You know, a person without conviction to hold the line and to stay the course on a plan is at the mercy of circumstances, right? If you don't determine what is important and how you'll live your life, other people will determine it for you, okay? Contrast that with living by design, which puts you in the driver's seat of your life, right? Again, Jim Rohn said, if you don't design your own life plan, chances are you'll fall into someone else's. And guess what they have planned for you? Guess what they have planned for you, baby? Not much, right? Not much. Not much. They got not much planned for you. So here's what you need to do. Here are your execution steps for today. I got 2 of them. 1, I want you to make the commitment to your success right now, okay? By making the commitments that from this day forward, you are going to live your life by design. Not by default, by design. You're going to bravely and you're going to courageously face and overcome any and all adversity that's going to come your way, okay? Because you've made the decision. You've made the decision because you've chosen to be set apart, right? Because most people are not going to live their lives. They're not going to build their businesses by design, and that's why you're going to become a very, very valuable person of value out in the marketplace, okay? You've chosen to move to the edges of the bell curve. Think of a bell curve, okay? You're at the edges, right? You've chosen to live an extraordinary life, an extraordinary life, to be an outlier. All right, so remember, the breakthrough always starts with your thinking. Always starts with your thinking. I want to encourage you to focus on actions, or to understand that focusing on actions only creates incremental improvement. Okay. However, when your thinking shifts, as we've discussed, everything changes. Okay. So I'm just asking you right now to commit to changing your thinking around the idea of living by design. Okay. The actions will then begin to reveal themselves to you, but you must change your thinking first. Are you willing to live by design? Are you willing to live by a time-bound system of execution off of the 16-week season? Right? Are you willing to accept that your biggest problem is execution? Okay, so that's the first execution step for today. The second is this. I want you to make the commitment to take this adventure with me and with Vivian and the rest of our courageous game changers who are already in the gap with us right now. Okay, so if you're ready to make that commitment, if you're just joining us for the first time today, or maybe you've been here the last several days and you just haven't made the commitment yet, you can click the link above this video to request access to our private Facebook group. Okay, so go ahead and do that now. Now, here's why I want to make the argument about why you really need to make this commitment for yourself. Here's why making these two commitments is absolutely vital to your success as an entrepreneur, okay? And it's because if you don't design your own life plan, if you don't become the captain of your own ship to design your own life plan, chances are you're going to fall into someone else's plan. And guess what they have planned for you? Guess what they have planned for you, Vivi? Guess what they have planned for you? Not much, right? Not much, okay? Your legacy's on the line here. And what's more important than your legacy? Okay? Ask yourself, what skyscraper are you building right now? Is it one that people are standing on the street corner, looking up in awe to admire its majesty? Or is it one that people are just walking by without even taking notice? My friend, you were designed for majesty. Okay, so make the commitment and let's start executing. And that's all I have today for preseason training day 4. Hey, I'm going to see you tomorrow for preseason training day 5. All right, make sure to get inside the private Facebook group by clicking on the link above this video. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about the first action step, the first anchor we need to put into the grid in order to start building our skyscraper. So you're going to want to be here tomorrow. I look forward to connecting with you inside the private Facebook group. And I think I got to go get Vivi outside maybe and help her burn off some of this energy. So we will see you next time inside of the extraordinary game of entrepreneurship and how to play it. My name is Chris White, signing off for me and Vivian here. Bye for now. What do you think, Viv? What do you think? Was that a good video? Was that a good one? You want to talk next time?
Thanks for listening to the extraordinary game of entrepreneurship and how to play it. And remember, gamers, if it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you. So get out of your phone booth and go share your extraordinary with the world.
Thank you.